aliens are real, and this is going to be very hard to explain because it's quite a difficult topic to talk about. Really, it's very hard to explain this, that aliens are real. I just wanted to mention quickly a few names that you can kind of think, you can kind of research about and look at. There's someone called Phil Schneider, and he's a very he's a very obscure person. He's a very obscure person, but you should definitely look into someone called Phil Schneider, because if you study his life, his biography, who he was, what happened to him and stuff, you would fully be convinced that there is an extraterrestrial presence on Earth, that aliens are real and stuff. If you study the life and the biography of someone called Phil Schneider, so Phil Schneider, how would you spell that? You would spell that by saying, well, not by saying, but by typing in like PHILSCHNEIDER, Phil Schneider. If you kind of go through his life story, his biography and stuff, you would kind of realize, you would kind of be fully convinced that there are like some type of extraterrestrials on Earth and stuff, not the real. So Phil Schneider, he's probably one of the people that you'll be like, if you were to study his life and stuff, you'll be fully convinced that there are extraterrestrials and aliens and so to speak like that on Earth. Phil Schneider. I'll try and kind of give you a quick summary of his life and stuff. Essentially, he was born almost 50 years ago, I don't know, a very long time ago now and stuff. Essentially, and he was hired to work underground somewhere. I don't know, all I remember is it was something called Dulce Base, whatever. He was hired to work somewhere called Dulce Base, and essentially he went to this place and whatever, and he was like underground or something, and he was mining, and then he kind of struck a tunnel pathway, and then he kind of came into contact with gray aliens, the gray aliens that a lot of people know about, those gray extraterrestrials. He came into contact with them, and they kind of I don't know, he got kind of frightened and stuff, essentially, and then he started to he got his pistol out and he started to shoot at these gray aliens and stuff. And you know what happened, man? You know what happened? The grays, these aliens, whatever, they got their hand out and they started to kind of rub their chest and stuff. They rubbed their chest and then they put out like this blue energy, and they struck this guy called Phil Schneider. They struck him and his fingers were burned off and stuff. His fingers were burned off. And whatever, and he was kind of about to die. Someone pulled him out and he was kind of hospitalized, whatever, and he survived and he lived on to tell the tale of these gray aliens. And if you what's very, very interesting is if you go through a lot of his lecture videos, if you go through his lecture videos and stuff, if you go through his lecture videos, if you carefully look at his lecture videos, you kind of focus on his like fingers, because he said that his fingers were kind of burned off. If you look at his lecture videos and if you kind of focus on his hands, the fingers, he's missing a lot of fingers, and that should really tell you that what he was saying and what he was mentioning and claiming and stuff like that is correct. That he was he came into contact with gray extraterrestrials and stuff like this. And what happened to him was that he provoked them by shooting at them, and they just retaliated by sending out blue energy beams that blasted off his fingers. And so that's, if you go on YouTube or BitChute, because a lot of his YouTube videos are kind of difficult to kind of find, they've been kind of buried and stuff by YouTube and stuff. If you could go on something called BitChute if you can't find his videos on YouTube, whatever. If you go on his lecture videos, if you pay attention to his fingers, you would realize that he's missing fingers, right? That's weird. Why would he be missing fingers and stuff? To me, that kind of basically proves that what he was talking about is true. I'll try and give you a quick summary of what he was talking about. He was talking about how there are the gray aliens, how they're kind of buried in the earth. They kind of have a lot of different bases all around the world. They're all around the world. They're kind of buried underground. They have these underground bases that they operate in. That's what Phil Schneider was talking about. And you know, he was working at this place called Dulce Base. He was underground and stuff, whatever and stuff. And when he was underground, he came into contact with these gray aliens. Came into contact with these gray aliens. You know, the gray aliens, big eyes, they're kind of like they're humanoid, right? But they're more like infants, right? Black eyes. You know, the gray aliens, the ones that are popular in culture, in pop culture and stuff. He was talking about, you know, Phil Schneider. He came into contact with them, and he was in the Dulce Base. This area called Dulce Base, whatever. I don't know if it was exactly called Dulce Base. I'm just kind of carefully summarizing it, right? He came into contact with these gray aliens and stuff, and he kind of again provoked these gray aliens, and they shot out a blue energy beam, and they kind of removed a lot of his fingers. They kind of removed a lot of his fingers and stuff like that. If you go on YouTube, if you go on his lecture videos, you'll be able to see, right? You'll be able to find his lectures. If you go on YouTube and you kind of go through, kind of look for his lecture videos and stuff, you'll be able to find a lot of it's like, because he made a lot of videos in the 90s. I don't know if it was in the 90s or early 2000s or whatever. He recorded a bunch of different lectures and stuff, and he recorded a bunch of different lectures. And if you carefully go through his lectures and you kind of pay attention to his hands, you'll be able to kind of see that his fingers are missing and stuff. His fingers are missing, so that would kind of confirm what he was saying and talking about, right? Because he was saying how he was like in this area called Dulce or whatever. He was deep underground, essentially, right? Deep underground, and he was in this place called Dulce, right? Deep underground. And what happened to him was, right, he encountered the gray aliens, right? He encountered them and stuff, and what happened was, he kind of got freaked out. He kind of got freaked out. He got kind of freaked out. And he started shooting at them. And stuff. And what happened was they shot out a blue energy beam, and they kind of struck his fingers off. And if you go again on like any type of social media platform, I don't know, video platform, I don't know, like YouTube or BitChute, if you go on to it, if you can find his lecture videos, if you pay attention to his hands, you'd realize he's missing some fingers. And that's because what he was talking about was kind of true. His fingers, he encountered the gray aliens, and they kind of removed his fingers by some blue energy beam. Like, kind of a quick summary, right? He was he was like underground working and mining and stuff. He encountered the gray aliens, and again they he got kind of freaked out. And what happened was, right, he kind of got his pistol. He started shooting at these gray aliens, and they kind of got pissed off. They got pissed off, and they started retaliating. And they shot a blue energy beam at Phil Schneider, and what happened was he was about to die, and a lot of his fingers and other parts of his body got burned off. And you can kind of again, Phil Schneider, if you really want to be convinced that aliens are real, you should go on someone called, not go on, but you should research about someone called Phil Schneider. He's just one person that I can quickly and briefly mention and talk about. And again, another type of quick summary about his life, right? He was talking again about, all around the world there are these like kind of underground bases where these gray aliens kind of operate in and stuff. They operate in these underground bases around the world. He was calling them dumb bases because they were deep underground mountain bases or something similar, or military bases or whatever. He was saying, right, that these aliens, whatever, they're all around the world. They're basically underground, and they conduct a bunch of different genetic experiments, and they're underground, and they operate in these bases. And they operate in these bases and stuff, and they're again all around the world, and they're underground. And because I can only vaguely remember a lot of the stuff he was talking about in his lecture videos, right? He was talking about how they've been here potentially for millions of years, right? They were influencing our history again for millions of years. They've been here for millions of years. They've been influencing our history and stuff. And if you go into his lecture videos, you can kind of see. Again, you can see what I'm talking about, right? You can hear what I'm talking about. If you go on his lecture videos, again, because I can only vaguely remember what he was talking about. He was saying, right, that these gray aliens specifically. He specifically encountered the gray aliens. Again, Phil Schneider, because he was hired to do some type of job in underground in some place called Dulce. I don't know the exact details, whatever. But what happened was he was kind of doing the mining work, whatever, underground, and he struck a tunnel pathway, whatever, and he kind of encountered the gray aliens, whatever, blah 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 blah. He provoked and he started shooting at them. And what happened was, after he started shooting at them, they got a pistol out. He got his pistol out. He started shooting at them, blah blah blah. They kind of got pissed off, and then they kind of rubbed their, he was talking about how these gray aliens, they got one of them got their hand out and they started rubbing their belly like this or whatever. And they threw out some energy beam, and it struck Phil Schneider, and so it kind of burned off a lot of his fingers and other parts of his body, blah blah blah, whatever. And he was about to die, but someone came and kind of rescued him and pulled him out, and he was hospitalized, blah blah blah. And he lived on to tell the tale, right? These great aliens. Yeah, but if you go on his lecture videos, you can see the missing fingers that he has from this type of encounter, blah blah blah. But I was trying to recap a lot of what he was saying. He was saying that there's aliens all around the world. They're deep underground. They operate in like these underground type of bases. I don't know, whatever. They conduct genetic experiments, a bunch of different things in these underground bases that are all around the world. They're all around the world and stuff. He was saying that these aliens, these gray aliens, they've potentially been here for millions of years. They've been here for millions of years, whatever. They were influencing our history, right? There's a lot of you would be able to come across a lot of different artifacts from these kind of gray aliens. Wow, look at this. I don't know what this is. Greco-Roman architecture. These gray aliens, they've been potentially here for millions of years, and they've been influencing our history, whatever. There's a lot of different artifacts that you'll be able to come across. I just want to show you kind of some of this Greco-Roman architecture. There we are. See that? This Greco-Roman architecture. Check it out. Yeah, but anyway, the aliens, they've been here for potentially millions of years. That's what Phil Schneider was talking about. And he was also saying that how they've been kind of interacting with the American government, specifically. Potentially they were also interacting with other world governments, whatever, blah 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 blah. He was saying that they were kind of, I don't know, I believe he was kind of vaguely kind of implying that they were exchanging technology to a lot of the world governments, blah blah blah, and for, I don't know, for the potentially, so I don't know, for whatever reasons, right, to help like the different governments of the world, to help them kind of technologically dominate or whatever. But he was saying that they were also associated with a lot of human abductions, whatever. And again, the abduction cases are kind of interesting. Yeah, kind of, because if you kind of, popular examples for people who have been abducted by these gray aliens would be Travis Watson or Walton. I can't exactly remember his name. He was kind of he was like some white guy from North America. He was like a lumberjack. He was like working in the woods or something, whatever, chopping wood. And what happened was like he was with his like friends, whatever, I don't know. They were out and whatever, and essentially what happened was he was this guy, I don't know, cutting wood, whatever. And what happened was a flying saucer kind of came close to him, and so he got kind of freaked out. The flying saucer came near him, he got freaked out, and I don't know, he tried to run away and stuff, but a blue energy being kind of struck him. This blue energy being kind of picked him up and kind of, I don't know, basically abducted him, and I don't know what happened. It's kind of hard for me to exactly remember what happened to him. All I can really remember is that he was kind of taken on board this flying saucer or whatever, and the aliens, they kind of examined him, and I don't know, and he said he found like some planetarium or whatever, and he kind of walked around, but eventually he was kind of sent back down from the flying saucer, and he just, I don't know, went back to his regular life. Some other important pieces of information I could remember is that he was like gone for basically 5 days. Yeah, he was gone for 5 days or something like this, almost nearly a week. He was missing for a week when he was like taken up by this flying saucer, and that's kind of very, very interesting. That's very interesting. For nearly a week. And then what's also interesting is, right, when someone found him, when a bunch of different people found him, he was like he was kind of left, he was dropped down by the flying saucer, whatever, right? And what's interesting, when the people that found him, like they talked about how like his clothes were on backwards. That's very interesting. His clothes were on backwards and stuff, and that's kind of, Travis Watson, I don't know his exact name. He's a person you should really kind of research about as well. He's not really as, he's not like as convincing as let's say Phil Schneider. Because if you really want to be convinced that aliens are real, that they're real and they're on Earth, so I would advise you to go and research about someone called Phil Schneider. Go through his life story, his life history, his biography. Phil Schneider, it would fully convince you that aliens are real. But Travis Watson's another good case study for you to kind of research about. Not just Travis Watson, there is also Betty and Barney Hill, this interracial couple from North America. They're kind of also very they're a little bit obscure, but it's still a very famous, popular example, right? Essentially, to kind of quickly summarize their life, they were kind of, I don't know, driving home, whatever, or maybe they were walking home, I don't know. Aliens kind of picked them up, whatever, and then, I don't know if it was Betty or Barney, if it was the black man or the white woman or whatever. The aliens showed this interracial couple a star map of their home, of their star system, of their home, whatever. And this is, in Zeta Reticuli, right? It was supposedly these gray aliens said they came from Zeta Reticuli. They told this piece, they gave this piece of information to, I don't know if it was Benny or Barney, whatever. They said they came from some place called Zeta Reticuli, and this is why it's kind of stereotypically the Greys, they're kind of associated with this Zeta Reticuli star system, whatever. It's because of this Betty and Barney Hill case, this Betty and Barney Hill abduction case. That's where this piece of information came from, that these grey aliens are from some place called Zeta Reticuli. They come from this place called Zeta Reticuli, which is in some, I don't know, it's a star system, and you know, and they showed Betty, or I don't know if it was Barney or Betty, the black guy or the white woman or whatever, they showed them this type of map of their star system, their home star system, and whatever, blah blah blah. And I don't know what else Betty and Barney Hill kind of, I don't know what else they found. I don't know what else they were kind of shown in this when they were taken up by this ship. But whatever, but they were kind of dropped down again. They were dropped off again, dropped back down, and whatever. And then they just went on to live their normal lives. They, of course, they did talk about this encounter. Otherwise, we wouldn't even know about it, right? They did talk about how they were abducted by these supposed grey extraterrestrials, whatever. And you know, and Barney, I don't know if it was Barney or if it was Betty or whatever and stuff. He drew. I don't know if it was the white woman or the black guy, Betty and Barney, or I don't know who. But one of them like drew, kind of from memory, drew like a map of the Zeta Reticuli star system from memory and stuff. Drew a map. Often based off of their whatever they remember of the Zeta Reticuli star system. That's very interesting. That's very interesting. Because the map that they drew is kind of very interesting. Because if it's true, right, if these creatures came from this kind of type of star system, right, it'll be very interesting. And Betty and Barney Hill kind of, you know, they're also another interesting. I didn't know. Interesting case study for you to research about. Yeah, so that's like, those are three names I've already kind of covered and mentioned so far, right? Phil Schneider, right? If you want to fully be convinced that aliens are real, I would advise you to kind of look up and research about someone called Phil Schneider. He would fully convince you that there are like aliens on this planet, right? Whatever. Another person I would kind of advise you to kind of research about would be, of course, Travis Watson. He's a little bit more famous and popular. Another person, of course, or people, well, not really necessarily one person, but a couple that was kind of abducted and stuff. But yeah, Betty and Barney Hill, you should kind of research about what happened to them as well. Yeah, these grey aliens are very, they're associated with a lot of different abduction cases. A lot of different people kind of talked about how they were kind of, you know, abducted, and I don't know, I guess they were kind of, I don't know, taken up into some type of flying saucer or by these grey aliens. They're like probably one of the most popular like types of species that have been kind of interacting with us on Earth. Of course, you know, yeah, again, the Phil Schneider case is it's like probably one of the most convincing case studies that would really make you believe that there are aliens on Earth. Phil Schneider, if you kind of study someone called this, kind of study the life history, the biography of someone called Phil Schneider, you'll be kind of fully convinced that there are aliens on Earth. Of course, not just Phil Schneider, again, Travis Watson, Betty and Barney, countless other examples. You know, if you go on YouTube, right, and if you kind of look up and research someone called Ivan0135, so that's the Russian, if you kind of type in this Russian name, Ivan, so it's IVAN and 0135, you'll be able to find like some type of video footage of these grey aliens. Ooh, my camera just quickly turned off because I don't know, because it was too, I guess the GoPro kept getting kind of like exposed to a lot of different sun rays and stuff, and it kind of was heating up, and so the camera switched off. Anyway, right, what was I talking about? Phil Schneider, yeah, Phil Schneider, Travis Watson, Betty and Barney Hill. If you kind of go on any social media platform, any video platform, right, and you kind of research about these people, you'll be fully convinced that there are aliens on this planet. Yes. And oh yeah, I was also talking about something called Ivan 0135. Yeah, Ivan, the Russian name Ivan. So that'll be IAV. No, it'll be IVAN. Yeah, that's IVAN and then 0135. If you, especially YouTube, if you kind of go on YouTube, you should find this kind of like account, this YouTube account that was made by this Russian guy called Ivan 0135, and you should find like some video footage of the grey aliens, like these supposed grey aliens, because they were also interacting with the Russian Empire, the Russian nation, whatever, the KGB, which is kind of like the CIA. It's kind of like this. It's the look at that up there, craned up. The KGB, wherever, they kind of recorded some video footage of these grey aliens. They captured them, and you know, if you type in the Russian name Ivan 0135, you know, so that'll be IVAN 0135. Again, type this into YouTube. You'll be able to come across video footage of the grey aliens. It's kind of very interesting, because if you go on these on the videos that this guy called Ivan 0135 uploaded, right? If you kind of check out a lot of the different videos that he's posted, right? They're very interesting. You'll be able to kind of see a stereotypical grey alien. The stereotypical grey alien. You'll be able to kind of see the stereotypical grey alien. And in these like videos that he's uploaded, the grey aliens, they're the stereotypical grey aliens, right? They're humanoids. They essentially look like smaller versions of us with larger heads, bulbous eyes. They don't really have our facial features. They don't really have any of our facial features, right? It's kind of like they look like essentially kind of like very like. They're like grey, hairless, kind of hairless. You know the grey aliens. They're humanoids. They have our like body shapes and structures and proportions, but they're a lot more neotenous, a lot more smaller, a lot more infant-like, which is very interesting. These grey aliens, they're associated with so many different abduction cases. It kind of really makes you wonder, right? Like, how long have they been kind of like influencing us? How long have they been interacting with us? Like, why are they even on Earth and stuff? Right? Actually, because Ivan 0135. If you go onto his videos and you carefully analyze the video footage, and you carefully kind of analyze the anatomy of these grey aliens, they look like us. Well, what's also interesting is they have, like in this YouTuber, the Russian YouTuber called Ivan 0135, these grey aliens, they only have 3 fingers. 3 fingers and stuff. They only have 3 fingers. Which is kind of interesting. Because if you go on this Russian YouTuber, whatever, he's called Ivan 0135, he shows you like KGB footage of these grey aliens, whatever. What's interesting is that they have only 3 fingers. That's like something very interesting. 3 fingers. They don't just, because I say humanoid, you think that they have like the same type of hands as us, which is kind of, no, they have 3 fingers, or maybe, I don't know if it was 4 or 3. It's kind of, that's very interesting. I haven't really, there's no like pictures of their feet, because in like this KGB footage from this Russian YouTuber called Ivan 0135, I don't know, they never showed like their feet, but they have only 3 fingers, and that's very interesting. And Ivan 0135, that's like a Russian YouTuber you should really consider researching about. Go on YouTube and type in Ivan0135. Alright, so yeah, alright, so okay, is that it then? Oh, there's another man or person called John Lear. So, you know, the biblical name John, type that in, then Lear, L-E-A-R. So the biblical name John, and then Lear, L-E-A-R, John Lear, right? Go on YouTube or maybe BitChute or any other video platform, right? Type in John Lear and blah 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 blah, and he was like, I don't know, he was like he was like born in North America, I guess, whatever, and he was working in the military, whatever, flying jets around the world, whatever and stuff. And he was kind of he had access to kind of insider information that the government has about these extraterrestrials, and he was talking about how these extraterrestrials, how they're basically like, they've been here with us for a long time, whatever, and they've been exchanging technology with especially the North American government, or a bunch of different other world governments, whatever. And that's super interesting, man. That's really interesting that they've been exchanging technology with the world governments. Yeah, it's very interesting. That they've been exchanging technology with the world governments, and whatever. Yeah, and of course he was saying, like, there was like this was like in exchange for a bunch of different human abductions. Like, people were getting abducted. The government allowed, like the American government kind of turned a blind eye to a lot of different people getting abducted. In exchange, the aliens kind of gifted them with this technology and stuff. I mean, if you look at like, you know, like a lot of the like military technology that especially the American government has, right? Like the jets, whatever, the flying jets, all this different type of technology. You know, it could be the reason why they have this could be because of these types of gray extraterrestrials that have been interacting with specifically the American government. And yeah, Phil Schneider, he was talking about this. Not Phil Schneider, John Lear. Of course, Phil Schneider as well, he was talking about this, but, you know, right now I was kind of talking about John Lear. You know, John Lear, the biblical name John, then L-E-A-R, John Lear. That's who you should kind of research about if you want to kind of learn more about these supposed gray extraterrestrials. John Lear, right? What else was he saying? He was saying that there's also other types of aliens on Earth, but they're not very infamous. Not like these gray extraterrestrials. They're not very infamous. These gray extraterrestrials, they're like the most infamous type of extraterrestrials, right? They've been with us again for a long time. It's kind of I can only vaguely remember and kind of recall what John Lear was talking about. But, you know, if you go on YouTube or some other social media platform, whatever, type in the biblical name John, type in Lear, L-E-A-R, he'll kind of educate you a lot about these extraterrestrials. Again, like just like Phil Schneider was saying, they've been with us for a long time. He also said that they potentially might have also kind of made us. They kind of engineered the circumstances for our genesis, right? Like Homo sapiens, we didn't just kind of evolve from essentially, you know, primates. We were kind of, you know, made. We were kind of partially engineered by these advanced extraterrestrials. That's what John Lear was kind of implying and talking about. It's very interesting. You should definitely kind of go onto YouTube or BitChute and research about someone called John Lear. I just want to really show you some more of this kind of architecture and Greco-Roman style architecture. Yeah, John Lear is someone you should definitely research about. He's very infamous. He's very infamous and popular and famous. And he's kind of very old now and stuff. He was born a long time ago now. Just like, Phil Schneider's kind of dead. Betty and Barney Hill, I think they've kind of passed away. A lot of these people that I'm talking about probably are not even really alive now. So you wouldn't be able to kind of like, I don't know, find out where they live and kind of discuss things with them. But they did leave behind a lot of information that you can kind of dig up and kind of benefit from, right? These grey aliens. These grey extraterrestrials, they've been with us for who knows how long, supposedly, according to a lot of these people I'm talking about. John Lear, he was saying, he also was talking about something called the J-Rod. The J-Rod, which is like I don't know, there was this grey alien specimen that the American government kind of took in and stuff. They kind of named it the J-Rod. They named it the J-Rod and stuff. And they kind of took it in. Whatever, and it's a grey alien specimen. So it's kind of, what's interesting is this alien specimen, it was kind of, there was, I don't know, some person, I forgot his exact name, whatever, he was kind of interacting with this grey alien. It's kind of a lot of weird occult stuff was kind of mentioned about this J-Rod, the grey alien specimens. Like, I don't know, there was another guy called Michael Schiratt, so that's the biblical name, Michael, right? Michael, and then Schratt, Michael Schiratt, so biblical name Michael, and then Schratt, whatever, right? This guy Michael Schiratt, he said this J-Rod, he wanted to go back home, like this grey alien, whatever, they wanted to go back home. So what the American military government did, they flew this grey alien, I don't know, to Egypt and sent him back home through a portal in some temple in some place in Egypt. Very weird, freaky stuff was kind of associated with these grey extraterrestrials and stuff. So that's very weird. That's very weird, right? That they took this grey alien specimen called J-Rod. Of course, if you want to learn all of this is probably very, very, very kind of like convoluted, very difficult to understand. It kind of sounds like I might have schizophrenia or some type of mental illness. It might sound like I'm literally mentally ill. I was kind of almost like some type of senile person. I'm just kind of pulling things out of my backside. But you gotta at least do some research on what I'm talking about. Go through all the people that I've kind of mentioned, research about the names that I've mentioned and stuff. There's this, like Michael Schiratt's another guy you should kind of research about. So the biblical name Michael, and then Schratt, Michael Schiratt. He's kind of like a UFO investigator and stuff. What's interesting about him? He was saying that a lot of these UFOs, they kind of appear out of the ocean floor. They're actually, a lot of these UFOs, so to speak, like, they come from the ocean floor, and that's kind of interesting. He was kind of also kind of making a case that these aliens, like a lot of these, like these UFOs, they might not be really alien. It might just be advanced military aircraft that the American government's kind of using and stuff. Advanced military aircraft, and that's why there was like, it seems like there was some, like, if you kind of analyze a lot of these UFOs, they're very like industrial looking, especially, right, in some cases, right? And Michael Schiratt, he was talking about like these industrial looking UFOs aren't really UFOs as in they're extraterrestrial. They're just advanced military aircraft, and that the governments of the world, they're kind of hiding, they're kind of masquerading as extraterrestrials, right? But they're not extraterrestrials, they're government agents flying military aircraft, and that's what Michael Schiratt was kind of implying. A lot of these UFOs, you're seeing that they're very industrial looking. And why is this? Why would extraterrestrials create industrial looking aircraft? He was kind of arguing it's because these aircraft, these UFOs, so to speak, they're not extraterrestrial in origin. They're basically military craft. There are military aircraft that the American government's been kind of concealing, hiding. That's what this guy Michael Shkura was talking about. He was talking about this stuff. He was mentioning how, again, the biblical name Michael, and then SCHRATTT, so double T's at the end. He was talking about all of these so-called UFOs. They might not really be extraterrestrial. He was saying that because they're very industrial looking. What do I mean by industrial? They have pipes. They have pipes coming out of the underside. They're made of steel and stuff. He was saying that they're very industrial looking, and this could suggest, right, that these military, like these UFOs, aren't really extraterrestrial in origin. They're actually basically they're just military aircraft. And of course, I don't know about this, because a lot of these UFOs, they seem like above like what we could develop right now, the way they move. Anyway, but Michael Shkura was potentially suggesting that there could be just advanced military technology. What's also interesting, he was saying that a lot of these UFOs come out of the ocean floor. A lot of UFOs are, I don't know what he exactly said. A lot of so-called UFOs are unidentified flying objects, are actually unidentified submerged objects, or USOs or something like that. As in, they come out of the ocean floor and then they fly up. Whatever. This is what this guy Michael Shkura was talking about. There's also one last very important person I would kind of like to talk about would be Bill Cooper. So Bill Cooper, BILLCOOPER, Bill Cooper. And this guy is like so many different things you can say about this guy, right? He wrote a book called Behold the Pale Horse. So that'll be Bill Cooper, whatever. And he was saying that the American government, specifically a bunch of other world governments, they're in contact with these extraterrestrials. Whatever, blah 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 blah. They're exchanging technology and they're making treaties and whatever. He was talking about like the U.S. president called Eisenhower. He was involved in like some type of extraterrestrial meeting, or whatever. Very interesting and stuff. And I said that this guy called Bill Cooper, I said that he wrote a book called Behold the Pale Horse. I said that he wrote a book called Behold the Pale Horse, whatever. In this book, he wrote a bunch of different things, so many different other interesting things. He also created some type of sort of like a series called Mystery Babylon. Babylon as in like the ancient like kingdom, whatever, in the Middle East, whatever. He created a series called Mystery Babylon. It's all of this interesting stuff that he kind of built and made and wrote about, whatever, I don't know, recorded. But in his book Behold the Pale Horse, he was talking about how when he was in like the Navy, whatever, I don't know, he was on like some type of boat, or I don't know if it was like a boat or something like a boat, I don't know. It's like on a boat, or he was on like, it was kind of, well, what is it called? It's called something. I just can't really recall it precisely. It was called there's something that military. I forgot. I don't know. It's called something. I forgot the exact term. Is it a gunboat? I don't know. It's like like when you're on like in the military or in the Navy, they have like these giant ships. Yeah, ship or something like that. I don't know. A giant boat. I don't know the terminology exactly, right? He was on some type of giant military boat, whatever. He was just observing things, and he saw like a UFO kind of appear out of the ocean floor. And Bill Cooper, Bill Cooper, BILLCOOPER. That's how you would spell his name if you want to research about him. He was in his book Behold the Pale Horse. He kind of talked about this type of encounter he had with this giant ship, whatever, giant UFO thing that came out of the ocean floor when he was like on this naval ship, and he was like, I don't know, observing things. He saw this huge ship come out of the ocean floor, and he was talking about this. And what's very interesting is in his book Behold the Pale Horse, he was kind of describing like when he saw this type of thing, he like talked to his like some type of, I don't know, military commander, I don't know, sergeant, some like higher person of authority. He kind of recalled what he saw and stuff, and this person's kind of hit him with his words. He kind of got really angry that, you know, Bill Cooper was kind of describing basically what he saw, which was a UFO. He got this person, this kind of like higher authority person in like in the Navy, whatever, I don't know. He got really angry and stuff, and he kind of made Bill Cooper kind of basically deny what he actually saw and stuff. And you know, and this to me suggests that, you know, that the world governments are in contact with these extraterrestrials, and that the world governments are kind of hiding these extraterrestrials and their technology and what they've been doing to us and what they've given to us and etc. and whatever. Because, you know, Bill Cooper in his book in Behold the Pale Horse, he was describing and detailing out when he was in the Navy, he kind of, whatever, he was in the Navy, he was on like some type of naval ship, he saw like a UFO come out of the ocean and stuff, whatever. And whatever, he kind of recalled this, and he kind of detailed this out to like his commander or his person, like some type of higher person of authority or whatever. And basically what happened was this guy got very angry that Bill Cooper described a UFO. He talked about how he saw an actual UFO come out of the ocean floor, and this person, he made like Bill Cooper deny what he actually saw. And you know, what does this mean, right? This means that the world governments are probably in contact with extraterrestrials. They've been kind of concealing a lot of information about these extraterrestrials. That's why it's very difficult, because if you go on YouTube and you try and research about aliens, you'll not really come across anything that's convincing. There's a reason for that, and that's why. And then the reason for that is because it all gets kind of taken off YouTube. All the convincing information gets taken off of YouTube and stuff. It gets taken off of YouTube because, you know, there's like a lot of people that are in power and control of this world and stuff. They take off a lot of the very convincing information off of YouTube, so you wouldn't believe aliens are real. And so yeah, you know, Bill Cooper, right? Definitely also kind of consider researching about someone called Bill Cooper. And really, that's all I can say right now, because my camera is about to die.